What's up, guys? It's Sai from Proseek, and we have IFBB Pro Jordan Clark with us for a shoulder day tier list. Make sure to stay watching because we're going to go through the best shoulder day exercises, and what we say may not be what you expect. So thanks for being here, Jordan, for another tier list video.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so what we're going to do is go through the tiers really quick, explain what each of the tiers mean and the criteria, what we're judging them by, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So at the top, we have capped out. So that is huge delts. Always these exercises are the absolute best ones to do. But then we have boulder shoulders. So these are all very good exercises that should definitely be considered to be in your program. But maybe they have like one small thing about them that might be a limiting factor in deciding whether or not they should be in your program. Low key round. So these exercises are like, okay, they can be effective in certain cases, but you should probably, in most cases, pick one of the ones above them to do instead. And then we have rectangle build. Like you have no taper because they're not good for building shoulders. So these are, maybe they're decent exercises, but there's almost no use to do these instead of the other exercises on the list. So that's kind of how we're going to put them into the tiers. And then on each exercise, how we're going to actually rank it is going to be based on three things. So effectiveness, so how well does it target the delts? The safety profile, so how easy is it to get injured? And then the ease of execution. So how easy is it to learn the form and master it? So is it something that you could come straight into the gym and do, and for most people? Or is it something that would take a bit of time to master, and maybe you would do it incorrectly in the beginning, and that could cause it to not be as good? Okay. So the first exercise that we have up is the standing barbell overhead press. So the standing OHP.
I'll have to put that in capped out.
We're going to put that in capped out. Okay. So now let's talk about it, breaking it down into those three categories. So effectiveness, how effective is this exercise?
I give it a 9.
Okay. So 9 out of 10 effectiveness.
Yes.
And then if we go to the other two categories, where would you put it there?
Ease of execution, I'd probably say about a 7.5.
Okay, so
It's pretty standard. It's a pretty easy form to understand, but some people rush too fast into workouts sometimes, and then they don't actually understand the motion properly. Like I said, it's easy, but not everybody listens really, really well. So,
right.
Because this is also one of the things where, it's a compound lift and you can go heavy on this, but, then we lean into the safety aspect of the lift. And
yeah, so let's get into the safety part.
Yeah, I'll probably give it about a 6 for safety. Because there's a lot of factors that go into the lift. Your core stability, your back stability, your shoulders, your form. The safety aspect is you have a lot of things that you could injure if you don't know how to warm up properly and what to warm up when you're doing this lift, before you do this lift, excuse me.
Yeah. So I think that's a good assessment of it. So knowing that it is effective, but it's also kind of hard to learn for beginners, or can be hard to learn for beginners, and could pose a higher risk of injury. Do you think it should still be at the top? What do you think still keeps it there?
It still keeps it there because it's I say a main staple that everyone should do. Even if you're starting out, like there's just some semblance of like, you should start out, with the bar, I always say, like, for all your lifts for shoulders, chest, back, legs, anything, is you should always have a compound lift in there, because it's always great for, overloading the muscle and overall shoulder growth in general. You could, there's other things you could do, but at the end of the day, I feel like compound lifts are key because it also just works other things as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And this is probably one of my favorite exercises. Like this has been my staple since I started lifting in 2012, 2013. But I've noticed that it used to be a lot more popular than it is now. I don't see a lot of people doing standing overhead presses anymore.
Right.
So why do you think that is?
The introduction probably to like science-based lifting and all the other ways of just social media putting out information. Some science-based guys putting out variations of stuff that they do as well. Everybody hitting the risk to reward ratio, and a lot of lifts people start cutting out of their programs because more people want to come in and start doing certain things. So
Yeah.
They all want to do their own thing. So at the end of the day, I believe, people stop doing certain things when other things are shown to them that they might take interest in and just might move on from.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk more about that, I guess, once we categorize everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Like, I think the science-based lifting, that the whole trend of that has decreased the amount that people do these like free weight compound lifts.
Uh,
Um, okay, so then we go to the sitting version of the OHP. Do you think it's better or worse than the standing? And where would we put this?
I put it as the I put it for the same for the first category, which was
Capped out?
yeah, well, yeah, capped out, yeah, put it capped out. And
Okay.
then the subcategories was first, the first one was execution, right?
Yeah. So how easy is it to execute the
Yeah,
sitting
so
one?
I would say it I would say it's the same execution rating. I give it a 9. But then for safety, I'll bring the safety up to about 7.5, 8. No, I'll just say 7.5, just because you are sitting.
Hmm.
So it takes the lower body aspect out of it a bit.
Hmm.
Gives you more of a better foundation. Lets you help you stabilize yourself a bit more if you don't know how to stand, because there's different ways of standing to do a standing overhead press. So, but when you're sitting, you only have one way of sitting, technically.
Right. So
So
it keeps you in a more fixed spot to do it.
exactly.
And then, okay, so effectiveness, you said 9 out of 10, so same as standing. Safety, 7.5 out of 10. And then ease of execution. So how easy is it to learn to do this movement and do it correctly?
I give it the same rating I have.
7.5.
Yeah, 7.5. Yeah.
So overall, would you recommend that over the standing then?
From a safety aspect, yes, because I do a lot of sitting overhead press as well, barbell overhead press. I do that more than standing. Even though
Hmm.
I've been getting back into standing, but seated has just been my thing, especially because earlier this year I was, having a little bit of back issues. So I was like, okay,
Right.
let me just try to take my back out of it a little bit. Um, but yeah, so yes,
Okay.
sitting barbell overhead press is definitely over standing for safety.
Okay. And then let's go to the next one, which is upright rows.
Upright rows. From my experience, I haven't had much crazy growth in my front delt from what was it up from upright rows.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay. So in terms of targeting the delts and the effectiveness of it, where would you put that? How would you rank that with the upright rows?
I rank that around. I probably rank that around. Give that a 7.
Okay. So 7 effectiveness for targeting the delts. What about the ease of execution?
Ease of execution. I'd probably put that around 8.
8. Okay. And then safety?
Safety. I give that probably around a 7.5 as well. Because
Yeah,
it's not really dangerous, but then yet always with me when I do it, it can be very impinging on your shoulder,
it can be.
on your joint, especially depending on how high you go. Because some guys go really extreme and like to go really high with it.
Hmm.
I just for me, just I don't get crazy muscle activation out of it. And it's helpful. You can, load it up pretty well and put some good weight on there. But for
So is
muscle
this something?
activation purposes, it's like,
Yeah.
it's not really something that really activates the muscle a lot. I never really get a crazy pump like, oh, this is so I kind of go for like more of a close grip, like cable press in front of me if I really want to,
Hmm.
or a front raise from dumbbells. That'll get more activation out of the muscle.
So are you sure it should
It,
be there then? If
uh,
we're saying that it doesn't target the delts that well, and there's a lot of other exercises we do instead to target better.
yeah, I probably put it down one tier then.
Yeah. Um, yeah, because remember, this one is still exercises that can be good, but you'd probably choose something else.
Yeah. So yeah, I put it there.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, this is another one where I don't see anybody doing upright rows anymore. Um, yeah, I used to do them probably like 10 years ago, but yeah, a lot of stuff came out about how it's like puts your shoulders in a bad position. And I guess like if you're choosing to do one or two heavier compound lifts for shoulders with like a barbell, you'd probably choose a press, right? And then when
Exactly.
we try and isolate the front delt or side delt, maybe do something else.
Yeah, single arm, like
Yeah.
dumbbells or cables, something along those lines.
Okay. So this is another one that has kind of gone out of style too. The behind the neck press.
Uh, I say it can be very helpful. So I put it in the second category underneath capped shoulder shoulders because it can be very helpful. But the only problem is that not everybody has that great amount of mobility to
Mhm.
execute it properly. So it's very helpful if you have the mobility. But if you don't have the mobility, it's kind of like okay, like
So even if it ranks high in effectiveness, but would you say it would be lower in the other two? So
yeah, lower
how
in the
effective would it be? Let's start there.
effectiveness. Would I give it what's it called? I'll probably give it 8. I'll
Okay.
give it an 8.
So pretty effective in targeting the delts. And then how easy is it to execute?
I give that about like a 6.5,
Yeah.
6.5. And then the safety aspect will follow suit. I probably give it a 6.
So would you put that in most people's programs, like a behind the neck press then?
I put it in your program if you're a serious lifter. If you're the average gym goer, probably not.
Hmm.
Because are you really going out spending your money on getting mobility work done? Are you, getting your blood work done? So, I mean, I say blood work, but it's just like, are you someone who really are taking this
Yeah, takes
lifting
it more
thing to a
seriously.
serious,
Yeah.
and you like are trying to advance yourself? So at the end of the day, I put it in an advanced lifters program, but I wouldn't put it in a regular gym goers program.
Do you do them?
I did them plenty of times. Haven't done them recently because I've been also really focusing on like the seated shoulder press, and the seated shoulder press we have. We have that frame where I can't do it behind my behind my neck because it's gonna just hit the freaking
Yeah.
supports. So, and I just have not found the urge to do them, but I did them before. Even behind the neck lat pull downs on back day, I do that as well. But it's very strict in a certain form the way I do it. So it's like
Mhm.
I don't try to do ego lifting with it. So that's another thing with this lift is like I wouldn't ego lift do this either.
Yeah, I think this one's gotten a lot of flack for being unsafe. Do you think it's unsafe to perform?
It's unsafe for the people who don't take time to practice.
Okay.
Because if you're just thinking to come in, you're just gonna like, oh, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna feel fine. You could, but then yet later on, you could hurt yourself because you see Michael Hearn and all these guys doing it. Yeah, they're older. If they're are they natural, doesn't really matter because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, he has the mobility to do it. He does it strict. He has a great form when he does it. So you can do it. You can
And
do it
it can be
effectively.
effective.
It's also just training in those ranges of motion,
Mhm.
which not everybody does.
Okay. But you would recommend people to do it then?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you have the want to do it and then you have great mobility and you always work on your mobility, you're trying to push yourself and try something new or try something new,
Mhm.
100%. Definitely. It's definitely effective.
Okay.
But if you're just getting into it here having fun and you're just messing around in the gym and you're just trying, stay a bit healthy and just stay away from it.
All right. Well, that brings us to the next one, which is a dumbbell shoulder press then.
Dumbbell shoulder press. That is top tier capped out.
All right. And then where do we put this in the different categories? So effectiveness, how effective is this in targeting the delts?
I give it a bit above standing and seated overhead press. I give it a 9.5
Okay.
because you have the
Mhm.
ISO part of it. So it helping you. You're
Right.
working
It's
one arm.
unilateral. So
Yeah,
it's,
it's
yeah.
unilateral. Yeah, so you're using just one arm per dumbbell. So the stabilization you're working like your weak side's working and your strong side's working just as hard because
Mhm.
both holding its own weight. So it's not like holding a barbell where one arm could be doing more work than the other. Oh, that helps out a lot, especially when you're trying to get stronger.
Mhm.
So one thing you want to do is work the one side. You want to work the one side more than the other. You have the opportunity to.
Okay. And then let's go to the other categories. So ease of execution. So how easy is it to learn as a beginner?
I give it about a 7.5. It's fairly easy to learn. It's not really it's just making sure you have the right angle when you're doing it. So I've seen a lot of people pick it up pretty easy. So I give it a seven and
Yeah.
a half. Yeah.
And then the safety aspect, where do we put it there?
I give it about safety. I give it about a 8, 8 for safety.
Yeah, it's overall pretty safe. I guess kicking it up with shoulder press can be a little tricky
Uh-huh.
because you have to like kick it all the way up to here. But yeah, um, so overall, would you put it over the barbell then? The barbell variations?
Yeah, I put it over the barbell variations.
Okay. Okay. Well, then next up we have dumbbell lateral raises.
I put that in. Uh, I put that in capped out as well.
Yeah, I
It's
think it's
kind of a
gotta be.
staple. It's kind of basically a staple. A lateral dumbbell lateral raise.
Yeah,
So the effectiveness, I give it a 9.5.
yeah. Um, and then ease of execution.
Yeah, execution, I give it a 8.
Yeah,
If you can stick your arms out into a T, you can do it.
yeah. Even if you involve your traps a little bit, if you're doing a little wrong, it'll still probably hit your delts
Right,
as long as your elbows are going away from your body.
right.
And then the safety aspect.
Safety aspect, give it an 8 too. Give it an 8 as well.
Yeah, where can people get injured here? Or what is the safety concern? What doesn't make it like a 9 or 10 out of 10?
It's like people who, because some people also have the tendency to go too high,
Mm,
with it. If you're gonna go high, I recommend keeping your arms slightly bent and then twisting at your elbows and following with your pinky and your pinkies up. That way you actually feel the contraction a lot. You get a better contraction out of it, while going a bit above parallel. That's fine.
So ideally, where would you want to stop?
Ideally, I mean, you would want to stop slightly above shoulder level if
Yeah,
you're
just
having your arms bent. If you're having your arms straight out, I would literally just stop at shoulder level, wouldn't go any
mhm,
higher. Um, and the part where you can get injured is, for me, it's like when you, well, one, people who don't warm up enough for it. So they just go into it and then they start trying to swing and they get their
mhm.
ego involved. There's that aspect of hurting your AC joint, you can hurt your lats. And if you keep your wrist straight and you go too heavy, you could put a lot of stress and strain on your wrist, which you could tweak. Um, so I had done that plenty of times because some people even try to keep their wrist up a little bit when they raise it up, and that would be even worse.
Yeah. I think an important thing to note is like your wrists should probably not ever be higher than like, your elbows, and you want to like lead with your elbow because it's the purpose of your medial delt is just elbow abduction.
Right.
But yeah, overall it's pretty safe, especially because it's not like you're
Yeah,
using hundreds of pounds.
you're not
It's
fixed
like
into a position. You can drop them
yeah,
wherever, and yeah, they're pretty easy to get out of and get away from.
yeah. Okay, so the next one we have is now cable lateral raises. So how would we rate this one?
I rate that at boulder shoulders.
Okay, so
Mhm.
going through the three categories, how effectively does it target the delts?
It targets them about, I would say 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5, and then ease of execution.
Ease of execution, I probably put that around. I probably put that around 8. Yeah, 8.
Okay, and then safety.
Safety, depending on the attachment, I'd probably say 7.5.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So effectiveness still fairly effective. What do you think is keeping this one worse than the dumbbells? Is it below the dumbbells in pretty much all three categories? So
Mm.
what makes it worse?
What makes it worse is I believe when it comes to the overloading aspect of it, like you're not gonna be able
Hmm.
to really overload the muscle, like how a dumbbell would when it comes to dumbbell shoulder press or overhead barbell press. Even a dumbbell lateral raise, you can go a bit heavier than you would on a cable.
Hmm.
So in terms of effectiveness, it's decently effective. You still have that cable aspect to it, which keeps a constant tension there, which makes it still pretty good. So you have a constant tension on the muscle. You just can't go really as heavy as you would like, more than you would be able to do on a dumbbell lateral raise, or even like if you were going to want more activation when it comes to the shoulder presses and like the dumbbell shoulder presses and the overhead barbell presses.
Yeah, there's something about the cable ladder raise that feels a little awkward. Like you said, that you can't go as overload or stimulate the muscle as well as like with the dumbbell. I think maybe it's because it's like, I know it's like free range, but like finding the right motion for it just like feels harder than with the dumbbell.
Right. And then on
Yeah.
top, exactly like you said, finding that range, the proper range of motion is key, because you could just be messing yourself up at the end of the day and
Hmm.
not really hitting the effective location on your muscle that you're trying to hit.
Yeah, and I didn't put this on here, but the machine variation of a lateral raise, where would you put that?
Oh, the machine variation. I'd probably put that. I put that in boulder shoulders.
Do you think
That's
those are better than the cables?
Yeah, I like him better than the cables, because you're talking about the ones with the two tubes on the side, right?
Yeah, where you can go like this, but then they also have like the one with the handles where you can like actually, yeah, like go
Yeah. So
and come all the way.
I'd say yeah, that's boulder shoulders, because it's a great workout. It takes the your whole forearm to hand action out of it, and
Hmm.
really just focuses on literally that straight coming
That
out
medial delt.
motion. Yeah, the
Yeah.
medial delt right there. You can overload it as well, when you get more, as you get more seasoned with it. But I find it pretty easy to overload. It's safe too. It makes you're really rigid in the range of motion, but the
Hmm.
range of motion doesn't seem like you're gonna hurt yourself in any sort of way.
Right.
I also don't even grab the handles. So
Yeah, I
like
don't either. I just
you
sling it
could
in.
you could have a lot more a good amount more strength, most likely, having your hands on the handles and doing it that way. But I put my hand straight down and just simply push outwards. Um and I even like sit backwards on the machine as well, to like really emphasize, you know, getting that more rear medial to rear delt activation going, than sitting forward and having it be on just on my medial delt, and sort of kind of, if you're sitting back a bit, on the front delt as well. So there's also a lot of variations you could do within that machine as well, if you're trying to target certain things.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I would prefer the machine over the cables for sure. In all those things that you said, yeah, I think it targets the delt pretty directly. I think it's easier to get into that motion, so like anyone can just kind of get in there and do it properly. And then the safety, it's pretty hard to injure yourself on that. But yeah. So next up we have the plate loaded shoulder press
Play a little shoulder press.
or pin
Uh,
loaded, just basically a machine shoulder press.
I put that on boulder shoulders only because some of these machines vary on their, well, yeah. If you're talking about a pin loaded one, they vary on their, if they have the proper tension or not.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're not all the same. Even when it comes to plate loaded, depending on like the range of motion, some are easier than others. They're all great workouts, both machines, pin and plate. So I would say the effectiveness, I put around an 8.5. But then if you go to
Ease of execution.
the ease of execution, pretty easy as well. I say it's
Hmm.
pretty easy. So I give that around an 8.5 as well.
And the
And
safety.
safety, I put that around 7.5.
Okay. And is that because
It's because
some machines don't have the right pattern, or?
yeah, some machines, like, they vary on their grip, how their grip is, the angle of the bar, e every the angle on the handles varies. So those could be issues, and it could be very impinging for some people, it cannot be for others.
Hmm.
It also turns on the size of you as well. If you're a bigger person, sometimes it might not be, to your liking, but if you're a shorter person, it might not be, very helpful as well. But the main aspect that is key for me is, how is the layout of the machine, and then also, if it's pin loaded, how's the tension on that wire to make sure the weight is true. And then plate loaded. Um, Nothing wrong with it being plate loaded, but also I found a lot of plate loaded machines, their setup can get kind of awkward on
Mhm.
on your hand positioning. I've sometimes I look at a machine and even sitting on a machine and feeling it out, like, okay, these handles don't even feel right when I press through this. It just
Mhm.
feels awkward. Um, and can be impinging in certain ways. It just might not be comfortable.
Yeah, the machines vary a lot on this, and there are definitely some machines where the motion is relatively safe if it's proper, but sometimes it puts you in kind of a weird position where if you didn't know any better and you just tried to force it through, you probably could injure yourself because it's such a fixed state of motion. So if it's like a bad fixed motion, then that could cause more injury than whereas with like a dumbbell, you can kind of just find the right spot for yourself that feels comfortable. Okay, next up we have face pulls.
Face pulls, I probably I put that in second to bottom.
Low.
Low key round, yeah.
Okay, so let's break that one down. So obviously this
Yeah,
is targeting
you
for rear delts more.
yeah.
Mm,
I think it's more of a high rep thing and also not really a main workout thing. I always put it like as a finisher. Uh, so for me, it's just like, okay. And also if you don't have the right range of motion as well, the right points, because some people go above their head, some people come to their face and
mm.
call face pulls.
So effectiveness. So how well does it target the rear delts?
Rear delts, effectiveness. I never get a crazy rear delt pump from it. I have pretty solid rear delts. Uh, I would say probably I like I said, I use it as a finisher, dang near as a basically overall shoulder
Mm,
finisher. So I would probably say for effectiveness, give it like a 7.5.
okay. And then ease of execution.
Ease of execution. I give it a 7 for ease of execution because you can do it. It also just depends on on where you're how high you're doing it.
Yeah.
Your hand positioning.
I actually think it's pretty tricky to execute properly. I see a lot of beginners doing face pulls wrong.
Yeah, also
Um,
even like the angle of your body standing up. Some people lean too far back. I catch myself if I don't want to lean too far back. So the people
uh,
just like to jerk it sometimes. I'm like, all right.
and then the safety aspect.
Safety aspect, I say it's pretty safe. I give it like I give it a 7.5.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty safe, but the limitation seems to be like it doesn't may not be the best exercise to target the rear delts, and getting the proper form to do so might also be a
Mhm.
challenge. And that'll bring us to the other rear delt exercise, so the rear delt fly. So this can
But they'll
be, I guess,
fly.
cables or machines, but that that motion.
Uh, I'd say I'd say this is boulder shoulders. It's pretty much a staple because you can, like I say, you can do it with cables, you
Mm,
can do it with dumbbells. And then I mean, there's various ranges of motion you could do with it. So it's like I say for like effectiveness hitting the muscle, I give that about an 8.
okay.
And then when it comes to execution, it's it's easy to execute, but also a little bit hard to execute. Um, and I say that because there's so many different ways of doing a rear delt fly.
Mhm,
One way might work for you, another way might not work for you, but you're still able to do them. But also, it just depends on how you feel. How does it make you? How's that range of motion work for you? Like this, with your hands inward and do it like this, or you can have your hands
mhm.
outward and do it like this, or you can have your hands literally like this, and then coming as you're bending over, going like this, X, like that. I did that plenty of times. I did this plenty of times. I
Yeah,
did
even
this
the
plenty of
opposite way, where you're
times.
coming from, yeah, incline and coming down to like your
Yeah.
shoulders, or yeah,
hmm Right. So, and even like the cables,
yeah.
doing it standing or even facing the ground as well. There's a lot of ways of doing it, and there's certain ways that could be wrong for you, but there's plenty of other ways that could be right.
Okay, so I guess that would go into the ease of execution category then, right? Because it's so many different ways to choose from. So,
Yeah.
what would we rate it on that front?
I probably rate that around 8.5. Easy execution, because there's so
Did
many different ways that you being able to do it.
mm,
Um, and it's, like I said, if you're doing a lateral raise, it's pretty easy when you're doing a lateral raise because you're just coming straight out here.
mhm,
But there's also another way of doing it. I'm just saying if you're doing go do this certain way, have a certain range of motion, and that goes the same way when it comes to rear delt flies. If you're going to do it a certain way, make sure you have the proper range of motion to fall along with it.
Um, okay, then the safety aspect of it.
Safety aspect, I give that an 8.
Yeah.
Just in terms of, also, like I said, the variation aspect of it. There's so many variations you could do that could help you. Like if you're having like a lot of lat activation, a lot of lat activation when you press out, if you're doing like here, like how I do a lot of times,
Mhm.
I can switch to this and hit it just as good. I might be getting a little more back activated in there, a little more trap, but I'm still hitting the delts pretty good, and I'm not using as much lat as I was doing when I'm pressing outwards through my pinkies. That's just how I feel. So I have the
Yeah.
option there. Even with cables, cables are like it translates to cables as well. So there's just a lot of variations when it comes to form, weight.
So, of the 3 different modalities we can use, so dumbbells, cables, and machine,
Mhm.
which one would you prefer the most to target the rear delts, and which one would you prefer the least?
I'll prefer cables first, second dumbbells, last machines. Because
Okay.
even like the machines, because the machines also, I see plenty of rear delt machines, and they just don't play. And mainly plate loaded. They're plate loaded. They just don't. They're kind of like in a fixed position, fixed hand position as well.
Well, I guess the
And
other one, the main machine one I'm thinking of is like the reverse pec deck, like when you can put it
okay,
all the way back around and go
I
like
mean,
this.
so I mean for that, I'd say that can be um that can be pretty high as well. But I still pick cable over that.
Mhm.
Um, it just feels like I have a lot. Because when it comes to the single arm aspect, it just feels a lot more. I like to do them isometrically, not really all together, like how it would be on a pec deck machine.
Yeah. All right. So we have 2 more. So the next one is going to be the Smith machine shoulder press.
This machine shoulder press. I'll put that capped out.
I think capped out is capped out. Yeah. So we have 2 more. So
Oh, two
we
more.
got
Yeah.
to yeah, we got to start choosing.
Okay.
So we can put it in capped out, then we got to bump one of these down. So if you want Smith machine at the top, then we have to try and compare it to the sitting barbell and the dumbbell and try and figure out which 2 are the most deserve to be at the top the most and which one needs to be bumped down.
Well, I say I'd say you can move down. Wow, well, that's a hard one. Machine sitting Smith machine press. I mean, if I put sitting, so I would say move down. I would say move down dumbbell lateral raise to that will take place to
The Smith machine.
yeah, Smith machine, and then probably move down behind the neck presses to low key round.
Yeah. Okay. So all the presses at the top.
Yeah, but Arnold press, I'll have to put in low key round.
Yeah, we'll get to Arnold press after this. So the
Oh yeah,
Smith
yeah,
machine
bro, yeah.
first. So the effectiveness, where would we put that?
I put that at 9.
Okay. Yeah.
9. You're it's safer, of course. So that's
Mhm.
also a great thing. The effectiveness, it's really effective at hitting your delts, especially if you have the proper Smith machine that's just straight up and down that has a proper tension on it,
Yeah.
and easy to execution. It's pretty easy to execute, especially since you have that fixed range of motion. You can't go wrong, really.
Mhm.
So I probably say for
Ease of execution.
easy execution, I probably put around what 8.5.
And then
Pretty
safety?
safety. I definitely put that around 8.5 as well
Okay.
because you
So
have because
9
you have
for 9, 8.5, 8.5.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, really the only safety concern would be like if you put the bench in the wrong spot and you're like bringing it too far forward or like
The
yeah,
setup
use
could
it. Yeah,
mess you up
setup.
badly.
Yeah. But if it's set up properly, it's yeah, really super safe, very easy to execute, and definitely effective exercise.
Right.
All right, next up we have the Arnold press.
Yeah,
So
that's
this is just for anyone who doesn't know, this is when you have the dumbbells, you like bring them like this, and you come out and press up.
it's a workout. I wouldn't use that workout to train though. I always use that for training. So I'd be like low key round because you can use it, but It's
Would we
not
ever
something.
use it instead of one of these other presses?
No, no.
Okay, so then we would probably put that in the bottom then, right?
Yeah, put that on the bottom.
Okay, so in terms of effectiveness, how effective is this in targeting your delts?
I'd probably put effectiveness at 7.
Okay, and then ease of execution,
Ease of execution, I put that,
pretty low on this
yeah,
one.
pretty low because I see a lot of people doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I used to correct so many people all the time on how to do it properly. So I'd probably put around like 6, like five
Okay,
and a half, 5.5, 6.
and then the safety, I put that pretty low too.
Yeah, I put that as like 5.5.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movement going on, a lot of twisting and pressing, and it's like
Yeah, it's very easy to tweak yourself or tweak
because
something or injure yourself doing
if
this.
you're not ready, because there's an isometric hold, there's a twist, there's a inward twist and outward twist, and especially with the wrist as well. There's a lot of fail points there.
Yeah,
If your front delts aren't ready, bad situation. If your wrists aren't ready, bad situation. If you can't hold the weight as long, bad situation. Even just you're going back up into a press. It's like you might as well just do a dumbbell short press with a pause at the bottom and go
right.
back up. So
Yeah, and especially if you don't have good line muscle awareness, like it's so many people will bring it in, just like totally let go of the tension, like up their shoulder, like the form totally breaks and they'll try and throw it back up and basically just
right,
doing a press but like breaking form at the bottom of every set. So you might as well just do a press, just do a normal dumbbell press with full range
exactly.
of motion. Um yeah, okay, so let's look at this list. So again, capped out is these exercises, very little limitation. You should probably have in your program, like in most circumstances.
Mm,
Same with boulder shoulders. These are all very good exercises, but maybe have one or two things that are keeping it where you'd choose one of these ones above it in the capped out category instead. Low key round. So then there we have exercises that, yeah, maybe they work, but you'd probably pick one of these other ones instead. And the last one, rectangle build, we have ones that you were, yeah, maybe even then they work, but like you would probably never use it instead of one of these other ones. And probably should never use it instead of one of these other ones. So do you want to make any last minute changes?
uh,
I think the only one I would argue for is that I feel like a lateral raise should have to be in capped out because like I think if you're trying to build your delts, that's almost essential to have in your program.
yeah, I probably move seated overhead press then.
Yeah, the seated barbell.
Yeah, seated barbell, only because we have some of the Smith machines seated up there
Yeah,
already. So that's typically what people do, regardless.
right.
Um,
Okay, and then any of these, yeah, I think all these look in the right spot.
yeah, to me, yeah.
Well, that's a good list. So overall, this is our completed shoulder day tier list. If you agree or disagree with any of them, let us know in the comments. We also have Jordan on Proseek. So if you want to hire Jordan for any sort of coaching services like training in person or virtual consults, virtual posing, anything like that, you can find him on Proseek. And I will put his link in the description below. You can also send in submissions of your exercises, like little clips of your form or little clips of your posing. He can go in and send back a video response if you just click the Ask Jordan button on his profile. And we also have a Q&A. So you can submit as many questions as you want to IFBB pros on the platform. We have over 70. So it's a really good resource, and you can actually subscribe to that on Proseek for free for 60 days. And then it's just $5 a month afterwards. And you can actually even get 10% off if you use Jordan's code, which is it Jordan or is it Clark?
I believe it's Clark.
Okay, so his code is Clark, and I will put it down below. If you subscribe to the Q&A, make sure you use that, and you'll get 10% off. Yeah, anything else, Jordan, that you offer that I didn't mention?
I do a little lifestyle coaching as well. Started up doing that. So if you ever
Okay,
need me for any of nutrition plans, workout plans along those lines, you try and get in great shape for the new year coming into the spring.
awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Jordan, and excited to have you back again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on.